Welcome to today's story of love, life, and betrayal. For more free stories and entertainment from our channel, please hit the like button and don't forget to subscribe with notifications. Now, let's dive into Brewing Revenge, a story that proves sometimes the best defense against corporate bullies is a good offense and a really great cup of coffee. Jennifer Connors stood behind the espresso machine at Corner Cafe, watching the construction crew across the street put the finishing touches on the new Metropolitan Coffee location. In 3 weeks, the corporate chain would open its doors just 50 feet from Jennifer's beloved cafe, armed with million-dollar marketing budgets, rock-bottom prices, and a business model designed to crush small competitors like bugs. Jennifer had owned Corner Cafe for 8 years, transforming a rundown diner into the heart of the Maple Street neighborhood. Her cafe wasn't just a business, it was a community gathering place where locals came for her famous blueberry scones, her perfectly crafted lattes, and the warm atmosphere that no corporate chain could replicate. But atmosphere didn't pay the bills, and Jennifer knew that Metropolitan Coffee's arrival spelled trouble for her small business. "Don't worry, Jen," said Marcus, her longtime barista, as he wiped down the counter. "Our customers are loyal. They won't abandon us for some soulless chain." Jennifer wanted to believe that, but she'd seen what happened to other small cafes when Metropolitan moved into the neighborhood. Lower prices, convenient locations, and aggressive marketing campaigns had a way of luring even the most loyal customers away. "I hope you're right," Jennifer replied, but her attention was caught by a familiar figure walking past the window. Rachel Stevens, her former assistant manager, was heading toward the Metropolitan construction site, carrying what looked like a folder full of documents. Jennifer's stomach dropped. Rachel had quit Corner Cafe 6 months ago, claiming she'd found a better opportunity with more room for advancement. Jennifer had been disappointed but understanding. After all, she couldn't offer the kind of corporate career ladder that an ambitious young woman might want. But seeing Rachel at the Metropolitan site suggested her departure hadn't been as innocent as it seemed. "Marcus," Jennifer said slowly, "didn't Rachel take a job with that marketing firm downtown?" Marcus looked out the window and frowned. "That's what she told us. Why?" "Because she's talking to the Metropolitan managers right now, and she's carrying a folder that looks suspiciously like our customer loyalty program data." Jennifer watched as Rachel shook hands with a man in an expensive suit, probably the new store manager, and handed over the folder. Even from across the street, Jennifer could see Rachel pointing toward Corner Cafe while the manager took notes. "That little spy," Marcus muttered. "How much do you want to bet she's been feeding them information about our business this whole time?" Jennifer's mind raced back over Rachel's final months at the cafe. She'd been asking a lot of questions about suppliers, customer preferences, and financial information that seemed unnecessary for her position. Jennifer had assumed Rachel was just being thorough and ambitious. Now she realized Rachel had been conducting corporate espionage. "I need to make some phone calls," Jennifer said, heading to her office. "Can you handle the afternoon rush?" "Of course. But Jen, what are you thinking?" "I'm thinking that if Metropolitan wants to play dirty, they picked the wrong cafe owner to mess with." Jennifer spent the next week investigating Rachel's activities during her final months at Corner Cafe. What she discovered was worse than simple information theft. Rachel had been systematically documenting Jennifer's recipes, supplier relationships, customer data, and business practices. She'd photographed Jennifer's recipe cards, copied customer email lists, and even recorded conversations about Jennifer's future business plans. But the real kicker was what Jennifer found when she checked her inventory records. For months before Rachel quit, ingredient costs had been mysteriously high, and supplies had been disappearing at an unusual rate. Jennifer had assumed it was normal shrinkage or employee mistakes. Now she realized Rachel had been stealing ingredients to test Jennifer's recipes, probably perfecting copycat versions for Metropolitan to use. Jennifer was furious, but she was also strategic. Instead of confronting Rachel or Metropolitan directly, she decided to gather more information about their plans. She called her friend Lisa, who worked at the city planning office, and asked about Metropolitan's permit applications. What she learned made her even angrier. Metropolitan hadn't just chosen their location randomly. They'd specifically requested the spot across from Corner Cafe. Their business plan, which was part of the public record, explicitly mentioned eliminating local competition and capturing market share from established neighborhood cafes. They weren't just opening a coffee shop. They were declaring war on Jennifer's business. But Jennifer Connors hadn't built a successful cafe by backing down from challenges. If Metropolitan wanted a war, she'd give them one. Jennifer's first move was to secure her remaining secrets. She changed all her locks, updated her computer passwords, and created new supplier agreements with confidentiality clauses. She also installed security cameras throughout the cafe and hired a local tech expert to audit her computer systems for any surveillance software Rachel might have installed. Then she began planning her counterattack. Jennifer knew she couldn't compete with Metropolitan on price or convenience, so she decided to compete on authenticity and community connection. She launched a campaign called Real Coffee, Real Community that highlighted everything that made Corner Cafe special. She partnered with local artists to display their work on her walls. She started hosting book clubs, open mic nights, and community meetings. She created specialty drinks named after neighborhood landmarks and regular customers. She even started a Coffee with Jennifer hour, where customers could chat with her about anything from business advice to local politics. But Jennifer's secret weapon was something Metropolitan couldn't copy: genuine relationships with her customers. She knew that Mrs. Patterson came in every Tuesday for a decaf vanilla latte and a chat about her grandchildren. She knew that college student Danny needed extra strong coffee during finals week and couldn't afford full prices. She knew that local business owner Tom held informal meetings at Corner Table every Friday morning. Jennifer made sure to reinforce these personal connections while subtly gathering intelligence about Metropolitan's plans. It turned out that several of her customers worked for companies that did business with Metropolitan. Through casual conversations, Jennifer learned about Metropolitan's marketing budget, their planned grand opening promotions, and their aggressive pricing strategy. She also learned something else. Metropolitan's new manager, David Walsh, had a reputation for ruthless business practices and a personal hatred of small business owners who, in his words, refused to adapt to modern business realities. Jennifer realized this wasn't just about business competition. It was personal for David Walsh. He seemed to take pleasure in crushing small cafes, and Jennifer's successful Corner Cafe was his next target. But Jennifer had survived 8 years in a tough business by being smarter and more adaptable than her competitors. She wasn't about to let some corporate bully destroy everything she'd built. 2 weeks before Metropolitan's grand opening, Jennifer launched the next phase of her plan. She started a social media campaign called Save Corner Cafe that told the story of her business and its importance to the community. She highlighted her local suppliers, her community involvement, and the personal service that customers could only get at an independent cafe. The response was overwhelming. Customers shared their own stories about Corner Cafe, local news outlets picked up the story, and other small business owners rallied to support Jennifer's fight against corporate invasion. But Jennifer's masterstroke was yet to come. She'd been quietly researching David Walsh's background and had discovered something interesting. He'd been fired from his previous job for falsifying sales reports and embezzling company funds. The charges had been dropped when he agreed to pay restitution, but the information was part of the public record. Jennifer also discovered that Rachel Stevens didn't have the marketing degree she'd claimed on her resume. In fact, she'd been kicked out of college for academic dishonesty and had been using a fake diploma to get jobs. Jennifer compiled all this information into a detailed report and sent copies to Metropolitan's corporate headquarters, the local business association, and the neighborhood newsletter, but she saved the best for last. The day before Metropolitan's grand opening, Jennifer hosted her own Community Appreciation Day at Corner Cafe. She offered free coffee to anyone who brought in a receipt from a local business, donated a percentage of her profits to the neighborhood food bank, and invited the local news stations to cover the event. During the news interviews, Jennifer casually mentioned that she'd discovered concerning information about Metropolitan's local management, but that she preferred to focus on positive community building rather than dwelling on corporate misconduct. Of course, the reporters immediately asked for details, and Jennifer reluctantly shared her research about David Walsh's criminal background and Rachel's fraudulent credentials. She presented it all as if she was hesitant to reveal the information but felt the community had a right to know. The story exploded across local media. By evening, the news of Metropolitan's manager being a convicted embezzler and their corporate spy having fake credentials was trending on social media. Metropolitan's corporate headquarters went into damage control mode, but it was too late. The grand opening was postponed while they conducted an internal investigation, and both David Walsh and Rachel Stevens were quietly fired. But Jennifer wasn't done yet. She'd spent weeks preparing for Metropolitan's price war, and she was ready with a strategy that would turn their biggest weapon against them. When Metropolitan finally opened, 2 weeks later, with a new manager and a promise of the lowest coffee prices in the city, Jennifer was ready. She'd negotiated deals with her suppliers to match Metropolitan's prices on basic coffee drinks, but she'd also created a loyalty program that rewarded customers for supporting local businesses. For every dollar spent at Corner Cafe, customers earned points that could be redeemed for free drinks, local business discounts, or donations to community charities. She'd also partnered with other neighborhood businesses to create a Local First campaign. Customers who shopped at participating local businesses got discounts at Corner Cafe, and Corner Cafe customers got discounts at other local shops. The result was a community-wide network of mutual support that Metropolitan couldn't replicate or compete with. But Jennifer's final move was the most clever of all. She'd discovered that Metropolitan's corporate strategy relied on quickly capturing market share and then raising prices once local competitors were eliminated. Their business model assumed that customers would tolerate higher prices once they had no other convenient options. Jennifer decided to make sure her customers understood this strategy. She created an educational campaign about corporate coffee chain tactics that explained how big chains used predatory pricing to eliminate local competition and then raised prices. She presented it as a community service, helping people make informed decisions about where to spend their money. The campaign was a huge success. Customers began to see their choice between Corner Cafe and Metropolitan as a choice between supporting their community and supporting corporate profits. Within 6 months, Metropolitan's location was struggling. Their predatory pricing strategy had backfired because customers were loyal to Jennifer and understood the long-term consequences of choosing convenience over community. The corporate chain tried several desperate measures, hiring local musicians, offering community discounts, even trying to poach Jennifer's employees with higher wages, but nothing worked. Jennifer's authentic community connections couldn't be replicated by corporate marketing strategies. A year after Metropolitan opened, they quietly closed their Maple Street location. The official reason was market conditions, but Jennifer knew the real reason. They'd underestimated the power of genuine community relationships. Jennifer celebrated by hosting a community victory party at Corner Cafe, with free coffee and pastries for everyone who had supported local businesses during the corporate invasion. "We didn't just save a cafe," Jennifer told the crowd. "We proved that communities are stronger than corporations when we work together." The victory felt sweet, but Jennifer knew it was about more than just business competition. She'd stood up to bullies, protected her community, and shown that small businesses could fight back against corporate aggression with intelligence, creativity, and authentic relationships. 6 months later, Jennifer opened a second location in a neighborhood that had recently lost its local cafe to corporate competition. She used the same community-focused approach that had saved Corner Cafe, and the new location quickly became the heart of its neighborhood. Jennifer also started consulting with other small business owners who were facing corporate competition, sharing the strategies that had helped her survive and thrive. The key, she would tell them, isn't to compete with corporations on their terms. It's to offer something they can never replicate: genuine care for your community and authentic relationships with your customers. Rachel Stevens tried to contact Jennifer several months later, asking for a reference for a new job. Jennifer politely declined, but she couldn't resist mentioning that honesty and loyalty were valuable qualities in any employee. David Walsh moved to another city and continued his pattern of aggressive business practices until he was finally arrested for fraud at a different company. Jennifer felt vindicated, but not surprised. People who built their careers on deception rarely changed their methods. As for Corner Cafe, it continued to thrive as the heart of the Maple Street community. Jennifer expanded her menu, hired more local employees, and became a vocal advocate for small business rights and community development. The cafe walls were covered with photos of community events, local artwork, and thank you notes from customers whose lives had been touched by Jennifer's commitment to authentic service. "Corporate coffee chains serve coffee," Jennifer would say when asked about her business philosophy. "Community cafes serve people. That's a difference that can't be copied, purchased, or replicated by any corporate strategy." Jennifer's victory over Metropolitan became a case study in business schools and small business advocacy groups. She was invited to speak at conferences about community-based business strategies and the importance of authentic customer relationships. But for Jennifer, the real victory wasn't the recognition or the business success. It was the knowledge that she'd protected something valuable, a gathering place where neighbors became friends, where local artists could display their work, and where everyone was welcomed as part of the community family. Sometimes the best revenge against corporate bullies isn't destroying them. It's proving that authentic communities are stronger than profit margins, and that real relationships are more valuable than efficient business systems. Jennifer Connors had saved more than a cafe. She'd saved a piece of what makes neighborhoods into communities, and that was worth fighting for. Thanks for listening to today's story of love, life, and betrayal. For more free stories and entertainment from our channel, please hit the like button and don't forget to subscribe with notifications.